I will say this is one of my favorite interviews. It's Vernice, FlyGirl Armour, who is a former Marine, a former Tempe police officer, and an author, but she's very proud to be the first African-American woman combat pilot. And I talked with her last week. Vernice, FlyGirl Armour. Look at that. Okay.
Not to be confused with J-Lo, okay? Don't, you know. All right.
So, I'll tell you, you are just an amazing hero to a lot of people, not just girls, not just men, just to everybody, for serving our country the way that you have and that you continue to do. But let's talk about being the first African-American female combat pilot. How did that come about?
You know, it's crazy. So I'll give you the short version, sound bites. Women were approved to fly in combat in '93 by Dakowitz. I applied to the Marine Corps actually in '95. Didn't make it the first year, didn't make it the second year. Women could only apply once a year. Didn't make it the third year. The fourth year, they said, okay, this chick's not going away. And I had already passed my flight physical and all that stuff. So when I went in, then Iraq happened. And I ended up being the Marine Corps' first black female pilot, period, helicopters, jets, whatever, and the first black female combat pilot in any of the services, because women had not been allowed to fly in combat before then.
So
there you go.
And this is groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking, just like our Tuskegee Airmen did their groundbreaking. But were you always into flying, or was it something that you just said, you know what, maybe I'll try this?
No, and it's so funny because, you know, the race conversation has come up a whole lot right now. We're in the middle of this conversation in our country, and when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop that rode a horse downtown. Like you and I were talking a little bit before, you know, I was born in Chicago, the horses, and I wanted to do something to help in my community. So that being the police officer, I did not, until I got to college, get excited or inspired to be a pilot. I was at ROTC, Leadership Advance Camp, Fort Bragg, went into the aviation tent. And actually, before going in there, I was like, black people don't fly. Now, we know that's not true. Tuskegee Airmen, Bessie Coleman, Willa Brown, right? But access and exposure, right? Access and exposure. So I go into the tent, dim, my eyes adjust, there's a black chick in a flight suit. I'm like, what? That is so cool. Why didn't I think of that?
Wow.
Planted the seed. Years later, here I am, talking to you.
Wow, and such a just amazing story that you have. And it means a lot, especially as we just finished celebrating our Independence Day. You have had a very gutsy life, a police officer, serving in the military. How is that, and what's that mean to you?
Yeah, and when you talked about celebrating our Independence Day, you're talking about Juneteenth?
Yes.
Or the 4th of July, all of it combined, actually, I should say. Because all of it is the fabric of who we are, right? And I just remember my grandfather, who served in World War II as a Marine. I'm third generation Marine Corps. And he said, baby, when I was in, the most we could aspire to do was be a cook or in the wardroom or, you know, janitor. And he said, I never in my wildest dreams would have thought my granddaughter could be an officer in the Marine Corps. And it was bringing tears to my eyes at this point, because this 90-something-year-old guy, right, he said those cliche, trite words we always hear, you can do anything, anything is possible. And man, wow. So, yeah.
Well, you just said it right there about anything that's possible. What would you say to this generation right now as we are going through our trials and tribulations with everything happening in our country, and not just our country, the world?
Absolutely. So I found myself sitting on my deck. You know, first we're going through COVID. I'm a small business owner, had my company 14 years. I speak in corporate America about engagement, going cleared hot, you know, that leadership stuff. And I was a soldier, I was a cop, I was a Marine, a diversity officer for headquarters Marine Corps, and on the flip side, black, gay, and a woman. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what do I do? How do I lend my voice to this? I have all these dots, right, where I was the peacekeeper on the street, but I'm also in 3 discriminated against categories. And I said, well, crap, if I don't know what to do, and I got all of this stuff. So I said, I have to use my voice. I have to leverage my voice. And I talked to my friends, black and white. Black, we got to stand up. all my people of color, and all my white friends. Talk to your white friends. Have the conversation, but I call it a new conversation. The new conversation, this is not about being political, this is about being proactive. And let's acknowledge where we are so we can truly take the steps. And yes, there are tons of things we can do. Have the conversation, vote. We have to take the protest to policy, right? Because we're putting the policymakers in office. So how do we translate protest to policy? Well, we got to go vote. People don't want to hear that a lot, but that's what's going to make the difference. So let me stop there. Let me stay on target. Right?
Listen. You are on target like there's no tomorrow. How can people find out more about what you are doing and getting the word out?
Yeah. Well, of course, I'm on LinkedIn, Vernice FlyGirl Armour, Facebook, Instagram. On Twitter, it's just Vernice Armour. And of course, my website, vernicearmour.com. And there they can find out more about my presentations, book, having a discussion, because right now, my life has been of service. Police officer, again, soldier, Marine, and now in this new place. How can I help facilitate the conversation and navigate the new terrain we're in from all of the experiences? It almost feels like I was born to be of service in this moment. So that's what I want to do. That's why I'm here.
FlyGirl, thank you for joining me.